we're getting close enough to start. So again, thank you, Rachel, for showing up. Before I talk to, and then I haven't seen Jenny yet. That's okay. If you feel comfortable, if you're in a safe spot, I'd love to see your face at least once today so we can build a connection. This is a shared experience. So Tracy's been through several of my groups. She's been coaching with me for a long time. And last month we started this relationship rescue boot camp, and we launched successfully at the end of the week my 6-month Miracle Manifesting Academy membership, where I meet with everybody once a week for an hour and a half, 2 hours on Monday nights, where we go deep and we're just laser coaching your ass off, basically. So this is a different process. So I want to clear the air. This is not a support group. There is a time and place for support groups. I'm a part of support groups. This is not a support group, right? This is a transformational experience. I want you to act like for the next 5 days, you spent $5,000 to $10,000 to go to Tony Robbins seminar. And because of weather and flights, you got there on the last day and you walk in the door and you're like, well, I spent $5,000 for this, $10,000 for this. I'm going to get what I came for. This stuff is universal that we're talking about. Once you learn them in regards to whatever you're going through, as far as your relationship, whether you're trying to stay, whether you're trying to go, whether you're trying to rebuild, by the end of this week, you're going to realize the relationship we're rescuing is the one with you. Everything else becomes easy after that. But we have to break some patterns together. There's going to be some resistance, right? Logic bombs get in the way. The stories get in the way. And I have them too. I got triggered yesterday over something and I was in storyland for about half the day until I got back on track, right? The point is rescue yourself. The rest will become much easier, whatever you're going to choose to do. Now, we're going to start. It is 9 after. We're recording. Beautiful. You got the draft in there. So follow along if you're on the computer and you want to. But again, if you're on your phone, I prefer you just either A, listen if you can't see, or just stay connected here. If you have questions, type them up, and then we'll put them in the Facebook group so we can answer them there in depth. I might make a video for you. So thank you. So welcome, and thank you all for being here. We talked a little about the camera use. If I can see your face once, great. However, because of the nature of this content, you may not be in a safe space, right? You may not be somewhere where you can freely be on Zoom talking to this guy about divorce, relationships, spirituality, and that's okay. So you control your safety, and I empower you to use that if you can. Love to see your face. Now, at the end of 5 days, we aren't going to get anywhere if you don't have an idea of what you want to accomplish. So I encourage you to go to the chat and type in the briefest version, 1 or 2 or 3 words. What do you want to get out of this week? And I want to encourage you and maybe even challenge you. If the answer is, I don't know, pick the next thought that came after, I don't know. And again, Tracy has heard me say this 100 times or more. You will get so much further in this free boot camp if you pick something, and even if you change your mind tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you can change your mind every single day on what the answer is. I want this out of my life, out of my vision, out of my relationship, out of this 5-day boot camp. You will get so much further if you pick something new every single day, if you have to, than saying, I don't know. So I challenge you to pick something, even if it makes you uncomfortable, right? Be willing and empowered to change your mind the very next day or the same day. So please put that in there. I'll take a quick look here. Beautiful. Healing. Love it. Being able to communicate better. Thank you, Jenny. That's wonderful. Get back to me. Yes. And peace. I love it. So I'm just going to comment, right? Healing. Let's disrupt some erroneous teachings out there. Unless we're talking about physically healing, time heals nothing, right? If you're here and you're into anything spiritual, you understand that time's an illusion, right? So I don't want you to be saying I'm healing for the next 5 to 20 years. In fact, as you are working on healing this week, let's tip the scales. By the time we get to Thursday, we're going to talk about your inner dialogue. And I'm going to be encouraging you to say, I'm already healed, right? Even if the bullshit radar goes off, confront that idea. Confront the challenge that says, I can't say that. Or the story. If you have a history, I'd rather you confront that, definitely, than to continue saying, I'm healing. So beautiful. We're all here for healing. Let's work on healing. at the speed of thought. Beautiful. Getting back to me, yes, we go through relationship stuff, and whether we stay or go, we get enmeshed. We forget who we are. And sometimes we fall into the trap of thinking, I have to leave this person so I can find myself again. And then if we don't learn some new habits, guess what happens? We get into a new relationship and the process happens all over again. So beautiful. Thank you. Getting back to you, communicating better. Thank you. A lot of this stuff has to do with communication without dogma, without rules. It's about you. So you're going to find you're a better communicator, even though I'm not going to give you a list of specific things to say, this is how it should be in a conversation. You should hold space for me. All these rules. I come from that background. So beautiful. Peace, definitely hand in hand, having a solid strategy to build a meaningful and strong relationship and maintain it. Yes. Again, like we said earlier, you start with you. Right? I even heard Tracy quote me because I say it all the time when she talks about stuff. Your relationship starts and ends with you. You get that in check. Whether you want to stay in a relationship or leave the relationship, you're going to be 1,000 times better off if you already know your worth, from true empowerment versus reactive, angry, desperate empowerment. So thank you so much for that feedback. And of course, emotional regulation, big stuff. Great. So we are definitely going to start into the actual meat and potatoes. Thank you for your feedback, your comments, and we're going to do our best to make sure we end on time so I can support you more in the Facebook community, or if you're in the VIP group, we'll do it there. So today we're talking about sacred space. We're going to talk about visualizing tomorrow. So what's the point of sacred space? Well, if you're like me, and you're probably similar to me, which is why you're here in this event, you might be coming from constant vigilance, right? I have to be hyper vigilant about my partner, my situation, my post-divorce, post-breakup, my new dating life. So this process is about going from vigilance to peace. And the process that I modified and created over the years to teach you how to do this moment by moment, and everything is foundational after we learn this process. So you have to get this process down first to really have a breakthrough, and everything else gets easier and easier as we build this foundation together. So for me, in the world of constantly having demands of my attention and readiness to be in my relationship, to show my partner the most love and support that she's needed from me in all my relationships, right? So being in that survival mode to try and make things work, to give more, to forgive, to let go, or to demand respect when I felt like I was out of alignment there. That just never stopped. So I either went from being a soldier, always ready to defend, or attacking, or being a shadow figure of myself, right? I wasn't me. I was surrendering to this conventional idea of what love and support and a relationship and a partner is supposed to be, which meant what anyone told me it was supposed to be was more important than my own truth. Does that sound familiar to anybody? I'm sure it does, which is why you're here. So I just got tired of that. Now, a little bit from Joe Dispenza, I want to share with you about before I go into more detail. Now, who's Joe Dispenza? He is a neuroscientist and author of a lot of research when it comes to epigenetics, quantum physics, neuroscience, and spontaneous remission. So here's where I say some quotes from him. The hormones of stress in the long term push genetic buttons that create disease. So struggling and surviving your relationship, your post relationship, your marriage, your divorce, we can only handle those stress hormones for short periods of time. Eventually, those hormones destroy the organism. They make us sick. They make us ill. They also become an addiction. And so as I share things throughout the week, you might not align with what I say because of conditioning, the old story, maybe years of therapy that says I can't let go of something because of my past. That can become an addiction that produces hormones that, even though someone, me or anyone else, could give you the actual golden ticket, you might not take it because we are so stuck in our emotional reactions. In other words, if I assume I'm going to have an argument with my partner or the person I'm dating, or the next relationship, regardless whether they're male or female, if I'm assuming it and my body's already getting ready for that and telling me that's my intuition, that's actually an addictive pattern. And it's actually not your intuition. That is your fear response, and your body's responding and then sending a signal to you, which will keep you alive and safe, but not happy. So your ego's job is to keep you alive and safe, not happy. So you're going to learn how to interrupt these thoughts, regardless of what's happening. And when you replace the thought with the thought that you're conscious of, your life changes very quickly. So I learned this process because I've been a Reiki healer for over 25 years, been a massage therapist, military, men's group leader, facilitation, Buddhist leader, and minister in the Christian church, going back and forth, all seeking different dogma to fix myself and become a better man and find a way to be spiritual in this meat suit that we have. So what I've found is that when I'm in a constant state of chaos in my relationship and hypervigilance, I'm ready to fight or hide or run away. So the sacred space is how I really learned to integrate both the mental components of maintaining faith in the face of adversity in a relationship, and also how to integrate that into the 3D world. So that's where we're going with the sacred space. And this also answers, the reason why I start with this one is, number one, this is going to help you break free from any idea of I'm drowning and I can't take care of myself. I am a single mother with babies. I barely have time to go to the bathroom. You can do this process in the bathroom, right? We want to break any ideas or indoctrination or old stories that are holding us back that say, I'll take care of myself later. I have to work really hard right now. I don't have time to pray. I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to believe in anything other than the hustle mentality. So that's where the sacred space comes from. Now, if you can go to your actual outline, let's see, got any responses? Everyone good? You. Now, definitely want to go and look at your document. I think some people came in after, so I'll put it back in there. Beautiful. So day one, creating space. Of a recap, right? We've already talked about why sacred space is so important. If I don't learn to cultivate and create sacred space, I'm never going to feel safe. I'm going to leave my relationship and go seek something else that says the right words and things that makes me feel safe. Well, since that's conditional, that's not very spiritual. If we follow that track, nothing else ever changes anything. Beautiful. Thank God. Someone sent other responses to Jenny. Got it. I hear you. Thank you. Zoom. Love it. Technology. So we want to use this process so that we can create that sacred space both internally and externally. Now, why? You have to maintain balance between your inner peace and external reality. This role is so important when you have a relationship, because if I say I'm a man, I'm a father, I'm a husband, therefore I have to surrender to my partner, and that's what quote unquote love is, then I'm never going to find time to create sacred space, take care of me and myself. And I don't know about you, but I have a big mission to serve the world. Well, if we learn to take care of ourselves first, we can carry so many more people so much further. So you have to put that oxygen mask on yourself first before we can save anybody else. So let's talk about what this means. First, we create an internal state of sacredness. And if you're following along, I want you to jump to this intention here. Find a quiet space so that you can decide, what part of my life am I treating boring? Old hat. I call it mundane. If you're in a relationship, this could be the same argument that we have every single day. If you're out of a relationship, it could be that same feeling that you resolve to of loneliness or maybe a broken heart. Anything that's repetitive is an opportunity to go unconscious, and therefore it's mundane. And the more you surrender to it unconsciously, the more it becomes ingrained and integrated in your life. And that pattern will repeat itself over and over and over again. And you'll think that it's your external reality causing it. With this process, you're going to start learning very quickly that all of your joy comes from within. And a lot of you that are here probably are aware of, heard that before, but maybe aren't aware of how to actually bring that out of yourself. So once you create a sacred space in yourself, you're going to create it outside of you. So Tracy, I'm going to pick on you for a second because you've been here for a while and we've talked about sacred space for a long time. So can you share with the group what it was like to go from not having a sacred space to then having a sacred space?
I think having the sacred space for me has just really helped me to feel grounded, to feel that I have a visual reminder. And I've learned only to create a sacred space, one space, but to make different spaces sacred as we went along, Anthony, because it started with and you'll remember that because it was so chaotic when I first started. It was literally my coffee pot that's my coffee pot that I go everywhere. But now I've my office space or my car or my new duplex that I'm in or where I'm at with my boyfriends is that I just create a sacred place that I can move to and pivot in. And it just made a huge difference to get me centered. And it's a tangible, visual reminder. It really has helped me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So Tracy was talking about the physical piece, right? So part of your homework tonight, and it's all here in the PDF, I want you to spend a few minutes and think about a part of your life or relationship. And if that's too triggering for you, maybe it's your job, it's your career, your place in life. Anything that you can say has been a pattern over a long period of time that keeps repeating itself, no matter how much fucking work you do on yourself, right? Because I went from religion to religion, got into leadership, nonprofit organizations, therapy, and you're never going to run out of labels to find that logically makes sense to be why you're not happy, why you're not satisfied in any area of your life, especially relationships. Because it's so easy to forget that the mirror in front of you are the eyes of your partner or your children. I call these sacred relationships. And I want you to learn as fast as possible that everyone and everything is either a direct reflection of you or a distorted version of you. It's called the mirror principle. And this helps us when we want to go in that fight response. I want you to remember that. Even if you think it's BS, it's crazy. Next time you're with somebody, maybe you're sitting with another, and you're triggered by them, remember this jerk over here, Anthony Cortino, Sacred Cobra, saying, this is a reflection of me. This is an exact copy or a slightly different copy of me. And watch what happens. That pattern interruption might be enough to save a marriage. It might be enough to stop an argument in its tracks or before it's even started. It might help you cross the bridge when you start dating again. And you have that triggered response where you think that this person is now seeming like your ex-partner, your ex-husband or ex-wife. Our minds are so powerful at creating our reality. And I want you to learn with processes like Sacred Space that you are already a professional athlete level of manifesting. The difference is I want you to learn that and be empowered to use that responsibly. So that means that I need to consciously be manifesting my reality and my relationships. And again, it starts with us, starts and ends with you. So back to the homework. So when we want you to think about what is an area of your life that is seeming mundane and boring, old hat, what's already triggered you over and over again, write down a couple options. And I want you to intentionally maybe take on the role of a pastor or whatever you believe in, whether you believe in the universe or a different religion. Assume that mantle of seeing your boring, triggering, traumatic, repetitive experience in your life from a place of holiness with tremendous reverence. See that moment in the movies or in the books, or when you go through something traumatic and you actually have healed 5, 10, 15 years later. When you tell that story, when that person writes the book and you see them in the movie recollecting the past, there's always a piece of wisdom and reverence and a lot of gratitude for learning along the way. So to take a mundane aspect of your life and choose to see it as sacred. If you never come to another meeting, if you didn't get anything else out of today, that is going to change your life. Then the responsibility is to keep doing it. Like Tracy said, we started with one idea, one affirmation, one location. And then when she says, what's next? Say, go do it everywhere else now. Once you learn to make one tiny part of your soul, realizing and affirming that it is sacred, then attaching it to a physical space that you see every day, all day long. Once you make that happen, you're going to learn to do it in other areas of your life. And your life will level up and change very, very quickly when you stop seeing your life as something happening to you and intentionally seeing and choosing the new habit that realizing life is happening for you, through you, towards your highest desires. Now, if we come from a faith perspective, using the God, right? That perspective, we all know that God moves mysterious ways. If we don't establish an understanding that we are sacred, we are spiritual beings, we are more light and space than matter when it comes to looking at ourselves under high-powered microscopic telescopes. If we don't have that foundation, then we're going to react really poorly when God moves that mountain for us. It might mean a repossession, a loss of a home, a loss of relationships. If we're going to put our faith into anything, whether you believe in God or the universe, whether you're Buddhist or Christian, whatever, faith in action means that I need to realize I am sacred, I am abundant, I am unlimited, way beyond the moments I'm experiencing. They're all screens of reality. So when you go through challenges, and again, because of what I do as a divorce and relationship coach, most of y'all here are probably dealing with a divorce, going through one, you're at your post one, back into dating again, or you're in the discernment phase. Regardless of whether you stay or go, I want you to recognize that you are sacred, you are already worthy, and you don't need anybody to validate that for you. I want you to realize it yourself, even if you still decide to leave somebody, whether or not you decide to give someone a second chance. I want you to realize that you are empowered to see your life as worthy and whole, and you don't have to fight for it. Rather, you have true, authentic empowerment versus empowerment from anger and fighting for respect and what you deserve. Celebrating 20 years together this summer, and then decided whether to stay or go. I need to have as friends at home. First, it needs to be updated and repaired. Got it. Beautiful. Thank you. I hope you get what you came for. Absolutely. So thank you. That vulnerability is going to be really helpful so that I know what I can do, especially outside of the class, to support you to have many breakthroughs as soon as possible by the end of the week. Thank you. I think that was Amy. Beautiful. So we talked about the sacred space internally. So to recap, you think and find a sacred space mentally in your heart, something mundane, make it sacred with intention. Write it down, create an affirmation if you can. So internally, that part's done. The part two is find a place in your home. And I believe I updated the PDF before I sent it out with this. Do not make it your car. Before I go through the more details, do not make it your car. Do not make it your office space or your desk. And don't make it your whole home. Anthony, I love my home with me and my kids. Thank you. Here, you. Please don't do that. Tracy, we had her using the coffee maker. I started with a coffee maker, right? There was a time when all I could do was get out of bed and walk over to my coffee maker in the morning. And as it was working, as I was putting the coffee, getting my things, I was remembering that this was a sacred space, a sacred activity in my life. And I started to build myself back up, speaking to myself correctly, reframing my concerns for the day into empowering opportunities. That meant I had to take care of the coffee maker. I couldn't just throw it around. And all of a sudden, everything else became sacred outside of that. So maybe a coffee maker is the perfect thing for you. I would rather you use the coffee maker, because I'm telling you that one, than making it a car, your office space, or your home. You're going to find me, I can be very confrontational. Tracy's like, what? No, I don't know what you're talking about, right? I think, I've definitely told people to shut up before. I want you to have a breakthrough. So, worst case scenario, you can't think of anything. And I'm not a big fan of I don't knows, but if you're like Anthony, I can't think of a single spot in my home, it's not safe. Put that in the Facebook group and I will give you some suggestions to try out. I would rather you keep trying to make it work than giving up. And I get it. I've been doing this for 6 years. There can be places of violence. There can be places that are not safe. There can be places that have multiple people around at all times. With that in mind, I want us to make sure that we are working towards finding and creating a sacred space. I love it. Rachel's, what about a closet? That's a question I will answer here because we have some time. So, the closet, if it can be a place that you spend some time cleaning up, taking care of, right? Because it's a place that I can see my closet. I treat it mundane. I get it. That's perfect. You're going to go to your closet at least once a day. So it's best if you can go to or pass your sacred space more than once a day, right? Coffee maker, I go to it several times a day, right? A staircase for someone who's in a 2-story, they pass by the staircase or go up the staircase several times a day. So I believe, Rachel, you still work a lot from home. So you have the potential of running into your closet more than once a day. So if that fits, then yes, that will be fine. So since you're offering that information, go ahead and volunteer. What do you think might be the part of you internally, Rachel, that you have been treating mundane or as a pattern or maybe even unconsciously that you might want to know? You could change your mind. I'm putting you on the spot right now because I know you personally. What might be an area mentally that you're going to choose today to ingrain in that closet space, right? Because the idea is I have this area, this space in my heart, in my mind that I'm now making sacred. Because I've told myself I have to work hard and forget about my self-care. I've told myself that I don't matter in the situation. I'm just a number. And if you can make that sacred, can you imbue that area? I've got one more person coming in at the halfway mark. Thank you for joining us. So glad you're here. Late is better than not showing up. So thank you so much. Again, this has been recorded, so I'll put it up in the Facebook group as soon as we're done. And you can review the beginning. Thank you so much for showing up. So here's the answer. So work-life routine. My closet is huge now, so I'm creating a space in there for me. Great. So again, I know a little bit about your situation because we know we work together professionally in San Antonio. So work-life balance, conjunction with what you're going through, that makes a lot of sense, right? If we're in a state of chaos, like Tracy was sharing earlier, let me ask you a question, Tracy. So how hard was it for you to make that mental shift the first time of, no, I can't make this sacred. This is traumatic. This is abuse or whatever it was that you're working on 2 years ago. How hard was it to make that agreement with yourself to see it sacred?
Well, it felt awkward at first, obviously, but you know what I did, and it's a weird little thing that I did, but I ordered Michael Finger some of those little day-to-day calendar. And so I actually cut them because it was old. You can't find it anymore. So I cut those out and pasted them there so that when I would go in, I would just read some of that and just decompressed my mind. So it was really a way for me. Over time, I changed it to an affirmation, but it made more sense for me thinking about as I was doing it today. I thought about it today. I might have chosen my favorite plant that I walked past because that can be a smaller space, a bigger space. You know, I'm in my most chaotic place and I can go through Lowe's garden or Home Depot's garden or whatever. There's something about plants that just pull me right back. But so it can be something really small for whatever person. It was really hard because it was a very tumultuous place. And that's the place that I'm leaving right now. And I'm still the place that I make it sacred right now as I'm leaving is on the windowsill. There's a pair of red glasses with love lenses, so that I look at it through the eyes of love as I'm letting go of that space. So it's still sacred, even though when it started, it was extremely tumultuous. So over a couple of years, it's completely evolved.
That's awesome. And I love it, like you said earlier. So it was awkward, right? To make the transition, but you already said earlier when I asked you to speak about it that you've created more sacred spaces, right? I've seen you share posts about your sacred space on Facebook, right? After all this time on your own because you're still doing the work. And that's again, like, I like to repeat myself because It takes, I mean, I don't know about you, I'm stubborn. I mean, it took a long time to get this work figured out because I'm effing stubborn, which is a good and bad thing, right? So I'm going to repeat myself because I want you to hear it and try it. And for some of you that showed up later, because some of y'all were here last month for the alpha. This is the beta, and it's going great. Loving the results, loving the community, loving the Facebook group, loving the Miracle Manifesting Academy group that we launched and our Monday meetings. So some of y'all, I'm going to see you tonight for actual coaching session, which is going to be awesome. But we can always make it better. And my goal is to make it easier for you. This is a process that I would normally teach somebody over a 4-hour period of time in a one-on-one session. So by me teaching it to you this way, it's encouraging me to refine the process to speed it up. Because I know after this for 6 years and seeing people go from filing a divorce, having kidnap or abuse charges following each other, to full reconciliation in a second honeymoon, and seeing people who, I'd say, so for the men, like seeing angry, scared, insecure dads who are fighting against what they call as a lie, right? Just acting like monsters, helping them become safe, happy, and secure for the kids. And in some cases, they get 50-50 when we weren't going to get it before and everything's fine. Or when they were losing, they win. And the kids are actually genuinely in a safe spot because they were reacting to stuff so much, they look scary. Now with women, what I've loved seeing with these processes is teaching and empowering women that if you just want to leave your relationship or your marriage, you don't have to make him into a monster, right? How about you want something else and you want to leave? And again, when you're teaching someone to leave amicably and they actually end up going the other direction and having a full reconciliation, I can't ignore those numbers anymore. I can't ignore those numbers. So if we save a bunch of relationships, fantastic. The goal here is to save the relationship with yourself. And then whatever you do after that, you're going to be happy. You're going to be satisfied. You're going to be able to deal with those regretful thoughts. Because as Tracy's heard me say, whichever choice you make in life on anything, you're always going to eventually regret that choice. That's an activity of the conscious mind. So Tracy mentioned one of the books I told her to get, and I'm going to say this to everybody. Please, if you're reading 3 books on self-help, put them all down. You're better off reading the phone book and integrating it into your life than that, okay? You're going to get a book and you're not reading one. I do recommend to everyone to get the Michael Singer's book, Untethered Soul. You probably already have it and haven't read it. You may have been recommended it by your friends. It's very rare that I have a one-on-one client that isn't already like heard that book. Someone gave me that book like a week ago or last year, or it's sitting right here. Oh my gosh, this is weird. I recommend that book because it's really like spiritual awakening without the dogma, without the religious context. So that whatever you believe in, it's the basics, the fundamentals. Like I'm teaching you my version of the fundamentals. You learn those things and then you go right back into whatever you believe. And I promise you, it's not going to contradict. It's going to align and you're going to make the adjustments that you need that fall in line with your authentic pursuit of your faith and your spirituality. Because I believe in everything. I believe that it's all the same message. I can find God in the trash can. I can find Buddha. I can find, universe on the back of my phone because it's everywhere. It's all through your conscious and awareness. So Michael Singer's Untethered Soul, highly recommend it. If you're not reading something already, get that one. But for the remainder of this week, and maybe even the next week, try to integrate. Stop reading a bunch of books. Please avoid massively consuming other podcasts. Whether they contradict what I'm saying or not, that's not the point. I want you to focus on integrating ideas. If you come out of this week going, this is BS, I want you to know the thought process in your head so that you can build on it, right? I want you to don't just let it sit there as not working. I want you to confront the issue, challenge it, ask questions in the Facebook group so we can support you so that you can really, really understand how to use these practices. So my point is spend more time creating versus consuming.
Anthony,
Right? Go for it.
Michael Conaghan, YouTube, you can listen to the
Yeah.
book Untethered Soul. So if people can't afford it right away, that's a good place. And then also a lot of the public libraries have it for free. So if you just don't have the cash to do it right away, you can generally find it out there.
Yeah, good stuff. So I always say, no matter how broke we are, the $14-15 for the premium for YouTube is the best coaching fee you're going to pay if you can't afford anything else, because the ads go away. The feature while the phone screen's black works. Shameless plug. I mean, my first YouTube video since last year, and I'm pretty proud of it. So I'm also on YouTube. If I'm at Miracle Manifesting Academy, and I put up a video yesterday. It's doing pretty well. I'm very proud of it because I changed the style, way more just like this, really conversational. I mean, Tracy, you can probably tell the difference between this month and last month. I tend to script the fuck out of everything and put on a show and try to be as authentic as I can. And it's impressive. It's good stuff. But I'm really challenging myself to just talk to the camera, because if you were right in front of me, or like Tracy has her one-on-one sessions, I'm just talking to Tracy. I'm just talking to her. And when she has a question, or she's like, fuck you, Anthony, like, in the call together, right? And we break through together. So I'll wrap it up to get ready for the VIP session, because I need a break for that one. So final thoughts for closing. Get the PDF, download it. I'm also going to put it in the Facebook group for anyone that for some reason couldn't grab it in the chat. It's going to be updated every single day because I'm constantly improving things, especially based on feedback. That's more important to me than anything. I'm trying to think of anything to really, really careful of this week, of an awareness place. If you're in any Facebook groups, so it's fair to say that we all learn to label as a survival technique our partner. So I'm going to use one word, narcissist, right? So you may be potentially dealing with currently or getting over a narcissist. Just as an example, I don't like that word. And as far as spirituality is concerned, it doesn't exist. But if we're dealing with that, my point is, I would encourage you, at least while you're here for this week, trying to have a breakthrough, avoid conversations, Facebook groups around narcissism. Please stay away from any echo chambers, right? Let's say you go through the whole week and you're like, this guy Anthony doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. I got no relief. Then go back to that. Everything has a place. I'm asking you for this week, as I bring up ideas that you may not have actually integrated in your life. They're going to confront stuff. I promise you they will. The old story is going to say, I can't do that because of this. That's okay. For this week, please, I encourage you and empower you, challenge you. This is the boot camp, right? This is the workout. Avoid conversations about that mundane aspect of your life, that boring aspect of your life, that painful part of your life. And remember, I said at the very beginning, this experience is not a support group. That's where I'm coming from. I lead support groups. Nothing wrong with support groups, but I don't want any of you into any unconscious storytelling where I tell you about what my girlfriend did to me, how I'm healing, and then some other guy in a room says, oh yeah, I agree. Women are blank. Here's my worst story. I want you to stay empowered to avoid that reality. Asking you to do some things that really are opposite of what you're experiencing in reality, to put that faith in action, right? Jesus seeing the leper, and no, he's not a leper, he's a healed man. That kind of stuff. Turn the other cheek means seeing something from a different perspective, not to excuse it, right? You may still leave your partner, you may still get divorced. I want you to be empowered and leave with a smile on your face. Why? Because I know the results. If you leave any situation, a job, a relationship, a marriage, because of this, and it's caused me so much pain, and this is not right, and the world supports me, my community supports me, unfortunately, that turns into 3 or 4 more relationships repeating the part that you are doing, right? It takes 2 to tango, right? Always takes 2 to tango. We're not saying that they didn't do anything. I'm saying I want you to stay where your empowerment truly is, which is on you. You change yourself. Maybe there's still an asshole. Maybe there's still a B word. Maybe you still leave. Leaving with a smile and alignment means you're ready. You're already healed. You're not going to be saying that I'm working on my healing. I'm trying to heal from my trauma. There is a time and place for that. I encourage you to consider you might be ready to let that go. And we're literally going to talk about some processes specifically for that. But today, sacred space in your heart, in your mind, because you are sacred, you are worthy, you are truly unconditional love, whatever religion you believe in. They still come from how love is really the only thing that's truly out there. Coming from that place, leaving a marriage is a great example for your kids. Leaving a career is a great example for your employer, the employees that see you leaving with confidence. It's going to put you in alignment to having a bigger and better job probably the very next day. Why? Because God, the universe, works in mysterious ways. So I want you to not react to the things that are happening in your life that normally trigger you as much, at least for this week, to give this a chance to work for you. You're going to have to try it a couple of times. You're probably going to screw it up the first couple of times. Am I right, Tracy? Which is why I have a community for you after this is all over, so that you have your epiphany and then we support each other to have another one. And then eventually, like I work with says, your friends and family, maybe even your partner, maybe even your ex, going to say, you're a completely different person. What are you doing? And that's how I am doing my part to create peace on earth, harmony all around us, and for myself. And to be honest, a better world for my daughter, who's 16 and amazing. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Check in if you need to on the Facebook group with any questions. If this was total horseshit to you, put it in the Facebook group. You can't offend me. I want you to feel safe to confront things. It's safe here where you may not be safe out there. Let's do it together, and let's all rise and ascend, because we are on an awakening journey. We are saying we are fucking done with the hero's journey. It has a place, has a time, but if you're here, I want you to have more faith than hustle. Okay, this is Anthony, Sacred Cobra Cortino. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will upload this as soon as it's done processing in the Facebook group, and I hope to see you there. And for those of you that are in the VIP group, I'm going to go to the bathroom, and I will see you in about 5 minutes. Have a great day. Cheers.